YouTube, we got every painful way to die in 17 minutes. Shout out the ejaculator.
If you've ever had the misfortune of getting scalded by hot water, you might have a tiny inkling of the unimaginable pain that Darren Rainey endured. But even that pales in comparison to the horrific ordeal he went through. So, Darren was a 50-year-old inmate with schizophrenia serving time at Dade Correctional Institution in Florida struggling with schizophrenia. In June 2012, after he defecated in his cell, the guards decided they'd punish him in a way that would make medieval torturers wince. They forced him into a tiny shower stall, turned on the scalding hot water, and locked him inside. For over 3 excruciating hours, Darren was subjected to water temperatures reaching a searing 82 degrees Celsius. That's just 18 degrees shy of boiling point. To put it bluntly, the man was practically cooked alive, with the water relentlessly pouring down on him like he was a lobster in a pot. When other inmates finally discovered Darren, what they found was more reminiscent of a horror movie than reality.
Melted his ass.
His body, still under the running water, was red and blistered, the skin peeling off like a grotesque version of fruit roll-ups. The burns covered 30% of his body, ranging from 2nd to 3rd degree. The guards basically forgot they had locked a living, talking human being under extremely hot water and not a fish. If you're wondering why Darren couldn't just turn off the shower or at least reduce the temperature of the water to save himself, well, it's because the shower he was locked in was rigged. The controls were in another room far out of reach for any inmate. As for the guards who subjected Darren to such inhumane torture, they were sadly never prosecuted, never punished, and never held accountable for their actions. Richard Molesky. Now, Richard was the proud owner of the Tullum Monkey Sanctuary in Mexico.
What? Wrong sound. Why that started playing? He what? I mean, shout out to the monkeys. Monkey Sanctuary, though, in Mexico?
Where he kept all sorts of exotic animals.
That just don't sound right.
To a 550-pound camel. Now, if you were to bet on which animal might cause some trouble, the monkeys would be the obvious choice. But in a plot twist out of a dark comedy, it was the camel who decided it was time to take matters into its own hooves. Apparently, Richard had been keeping the camel penned up with food and water for days. Well, in October 2014, the camel quite literally decided that enough was enough. Hungry and extremely angry, the camel knocked Mr. Richard to the ground and then proceeded to stomp on him over and over again. With each stomp, the camel broke nearly every bone in Richard's body, shattering.
Hey, Latte, keep it so real though, bro. Would you rather get stomped on by a camel or eaten by a camel? That's what I thought he was going to say was for the half, and we're like, damn, camels be eating people now?
His skull and crushed his vital organs like a bag of chips under a heavy grocery bag. But the camel wasn't done making its point. Just to drive the message home, it bit Richard a few more. Good measure.
Bro, since when? What the oh, I thought he shit it out, but I thought he ate his ass and then shit it out his head. But what the hell? What?
Sat on him as if to say,
bro, what you did to Cam, bro?
Richard didn't survive this camel's revenge
R.I.P. my
because
dog,
he
Richard,
died
man.
on the spot. Even after Richard's life had ended, the camel wasn't ready to relinquish its new seat. It continued to sit on Richard's lifeless body, refusing to move until emergency services arrived. The rescuers had to tie the camel up just to get to Richard. Well, this whole incident gives a whole new, painfully literal meaning to the phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back. Except in this case, it was the camel who did all the breaking.
I hate that sound, bro.
Svetlana Rosina was a 24 did all the breaking.
What is it?
Svetlana.
What is that? Oh my! Wait. She fell inside the chocolate bowl. Since when? Wait. Oh, it's probably a chocolate factory chocolate bowl.
Roslina.
I thought they only had those in Willy Wonka.
Was a 24-year-old mother of 2 who worked at a chocolate confectionery factory near Moscow. Now, while most people worry about gaining a few pounds working around sweets all day, Roslina's work ended in a way that no one could have imagined, and it was far more horrifying than any diet dilemma. So on that
how
fateful
bad
day, after
could
kissing her
it
kids
really
and
be
husband
though? I mean, I get the
goodbye,
chocolate can
Rosina
get
went
hot
off
though,
to
but
work. Like every other day at work, they would produce thousands of pieces of chocolates.
I guess, though.
As part of the production process, the chocolates are usually mixed in a giant mixer while it is still in its liquid form. Rosalina's job was simple enough. Stand near the giant mixer and keep an eye on the swirling molten chocolate. But as anyone who's ever stood on the sidelines knows, watching chocolate spin around can get pretty boring. So to pass the time, Rosalina decided to pull out her phone. Maybe to
I thought it was on Candy Crush? No way.
Check in with her husband to see how the kids were doing. But as fate would have it, the phone slipped from her hand and fell straight into...
Please, bro. What? No, bro. What, bro? Don't tell me you reached your hand in there while it was spinning, shawty.
The giant mixer.
Rosalina!
Instinctively, Rosalina reached out to catch it, but in doing so, she lost her balance and tumbled headfirst in...
Bro, come on, bro. Bro, no way! Bro, no way! No way!
...vat of hot...
Oh my god, yo.
...thick chocolate. In a horrific turn of events...
Wait, I'm confused. Wait, how do you even fall into a small ball? I thought you'd fall into one like them little big melting pots.
She found herself upside down with her head and upper body submerged in the boiling chocolate mixture.
Oh my
The giant
goodness.
mixer, oblivious to the human tragedy, continued its relentless spinning, grinding Rosalina's head and upper body along with the chocolate. By the time a coworker came to check on her, all that remained visible were her legs,
what y'all doing in
eerily
this
floating
situation,
atop
bruh?
the swirling, now tragically tainted.
And my whole thing too is like obviously they gotta throw that batch out because it got human remains. Well, actually, bro, do y'all think the factory threw that batch out? Do y'all think the factory threw that batch out, bro, or they just, you feel me? Like obviously they had to report the incident, but like what did they do? Did they just like what did they do with that batch of chocolate?
When her remains were dragged out, it was confirmed
that
the upper parts of Rosalina's body had unfortunately become chocolate pudding.
Sam Ballard. Crazy.
So picture this. It's 2010 and you decide to go outside to play with your friends.
Why is that?
Now, as teenagers, you're all 10 and you decide to go outside.
Why is that walking and twerking?
To play with your friends. Now, as teenagers, you're all having a blast, being silly and making a lot of questionable decisions when one of your friends dares you to do the impossible. Swallow a garden slug. Now, the sensible thing to do would be to say no, but that
what type of friends do this, bro?
Instead, the 19-year-old rugby player from Sydney, being the daredevil that he is, picked up the squiggly, slimy, disgusting slug and popped it in his mouth. He swallowed the entire thing whole. Unfortunately, aside from being a very disgusting snack, the tiny, unassuming slug was carrying a deadly parasitic worm known as rat lungworm, which usually hangs out in rats' lungs, but sometimes it takes a vacation in slugs and snails. When Sam swallowed the infected slug, he basically sent a VIP invitation for the worm to have a rave in his brain, and, well, the rave consisted of the infection eating away part of his brain, lungs, and liver. After a couple of weeks, Sam started to get really sick. He couldn't walk, talk, or even stand up from bed. And as his condition got worse, he fell into a coma for 14 long months.
Alright, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Yo, R.I.P. my dog Sam. I'm not sure if he died or nothing, bro, but like, two things, bro. So boom, the person that dared him to eat it, should they be charged with murder? You feel me? Should they be charged with murder? Second thing, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Coma, I be hearing people like hearing about comas, but honestly, for me personally, bro, I feel like comas is really just like time travel. Comas probably really is the closest thing to time travel, bro. Like, I don't know, does your body age in comas, bro? But like, I ain't gonna lie, bro, if I was to go like 14 months, like imagine going 14 months in a dream, bro. It's like, I'm not gonna say just go ahead and delete my bills, bro. What would y'all do, bro? Would y'all take a 14-month coma, or would y'all just say, you know what, bro? Go ahead and get me up out of here. Go ahead and take me to my maker. 14 months, that's kind of OD, bro. That's like, honestly, bro, this might be the new method, bro. If you ever get like a jail sentence, bro, a 5-year jail sentence, bro, twin, just go ahead and put me in a coma. Go ahead, bro. Honestly, bro, I might just, you feel me? Once I get in my cell, I find out I got about 5 years. Bust your head one good time. Hopefully, you don't delete your own bill. But, gang, the coma might be the method to get out of them jail sentences. No bad. And does that count? Does that count? I'm yapping. But nah, comas might be the new method. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
From the neck down. He was bound to a wheelchair and was unable to eat without a tube.
Okay, that might not be worth it, bro. Wait, hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. This might be the only time I might say, all right, jail just might be worth it, bro. Hold on, bro. Hold on. I thought comas was just deep sleeps. I thought it was just deep. What do you mean he's paralyzed? What?
He now required 24-hour care 7 days a week and was prone to severe seizures. The young man couldn't even go to the bathroom without help and was also unable to control his body temperature.
Okay,
Sadly,
might just...
he died
that might not be the...
At the age of 28. Rosa King.
That might not be the...
So it's another typical day in May 2017 for 33-year-old Rosa King. Like clockwork, she woke up before her alarm, full of energy and ready to take on the world, or more specifically, the Hamerton Zoo Park in Cambridgeshire, England, where she worked as a zookeeper. Sadly, this would be the day her passion would meet an untimely and very toothy end at the paws of a Malayan tiger named Sissip. As Rosa entered the tiger's enclosure to do her
what type of name is that, bro? Who's naming these animals?
For the worse. Perhaps Sissip woke up on the wrong side of the straw bed that morning because it was extremely temperamental and apparently in no mood for housekeeping. In a split second, it pounced on Rosa and tore her limb from limb like a child's rag doll. The tiger literally tore into her flesh, cracking and snapping her bones like twigs and biting out huge chunks of her skin and muscles. The whole attack was like something out of a horror movie, and it was swift and brutal and destructive. Rosa was left with multiple fractures and a severed spinal cord.
Did she survive?
Tragically, she died on the scene. Just imagine the agony of death, where you feel every excruciating second as your bones splinter and your flesh is violently ripped apart.
Bro, y'all ever seen one of them videos, bro, where it be like, them, I don't know if it's zookeepers or like regular people. They'll like adopt like a little tiger, right? When it's probably like, what, 2 weeks, maybe a month, 2 months old, right? And then they'll raise it for like, whatever, 5 years. Then they'll come back after 10 years. And sometimes the I won't say the dinosaur. Sometimes the tiger sword will get recognized. What y'all doing in that situation, bro? If y'all went 10 years without seeing the tiger that you raised, bro, would you go back to it? Would y'all take that risk of it not recognizing you, bro, and this happening, bro? I've seen both situations, bro, scrolling TikTok before.
Her body was discovered a few hours later by a zoo visitor who looked into the enclosure from the public viewing area and raised the alarm. An investigator later revealed that the zoo had some, let's call them relaxed safety protocols because someone had mistakenly left the metal slide that was designed to isolate the animals open. Turns out that letting humans and tigers mingle freely isn't the best idea. Who knew? Rajes Maru. So in January 2018, Rajes Maru decided to visit a relative in the hospital. But little did he know that same relative would soon be visiting him in the morgue. Talk about a twist of fate straight out of a horror movie. The thing is, Rajesh was visiting in the MRI room of a hospital in Mumbai, India. If you've ever been near an MRI machine, you know that they're essentially giant magnets on steroids. And what do magnets do? They attract
radiation.
Metal. So Rajesh unfortunately didn't get the memo, or rather, he was given the wrong one by hospital staff, who assured him that the MRI machine was off. Following instructions, Rajesh entered the room carrying a metal oxygen.
Bro, where do you even get that? Wait. Was my dog Mumbai? Was he a doctor? Who just go? Wait. Did they say he was a doctor?
Following instructions, Rajesh entered, who assured him that the MRI memo, or rather, he was given the wrong one by hospital staff, who assured him that the MRI machine was off. Following instructions, Rajesh entered the room carrying a metal oxygen.
Bro, where did he get an AirPod tank, gang?
Cylinder. However, the moment he stepped into the room, the MRI machine, which was actually on and ready to rumble, locked onto that oxygen
don't tell me it exploded.
Cylinder like it was a long-lost friend. What happened next was like a deadly game of tug-of-war, but with Rajesh caught in the middle. The machine pulled both Rajesh and the oxygen tank toward it with incredible force. Unfortunately, the oxygen tank got damaged, and the liquid oxygen gas inside started leaking into the small enclosed MRI room.
Is that bad?
Liquid oxygen is very harmful to humans, and breathing in a lethal...
Wait, liquid oxygen?
Liquid oxygen...
Wait. Is he talking about water? Liquid? Wait. When did oxygen get... Wait. Is oxygen not air? When did oxygen get liquid?
Is very...
Am I tweaking or is my science class just wrong?
Very harmful to humans, and breathing in a lethal amount can cause instant lung damage.
How do you breathe in liquid? Alright, now y'all confusing me, bruh. What is going on, bruh? What? Why was he breathing in water?
Which would, in turn, cause instant death. His lungs burned as the gas ravaged his tissues, causing unbearable pain with every breath. His chest tightened, muscles
hold your breath,
tensed,
gang.
and his vision
Gang, stop breathing. Close your
mouth from the violent damage. Sadly, this was the fate of Rajesh. De Leon Alonzo
That's crazy.
Smith.
Is that a baby?
We've all heard the phrase "shoot for the stars" in almost every motivational speech that was ever made. It's supposed to inspire you to aim high, chase your dreams, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But 19-year-old De Leon Alonzo Smith took that phrase a little too literally and in the worst possible way. It all started in September 2019 when De Leon decided it was time to up his selfie game. His Instagram profile needed a boost and he wanted to look bad for the ladies. Now, a boring old pouty face or peace sign wouldn't cut it.
So when you died in the name of the hoes? No way.
So his pouty face or peace sign wouldn't cut it. Those are for amateurs, right?
You tried to look gangster, had the safety off with the gun, and shot yourself for the gram. Bro, it's when you 19 too. You're not even a kid, bro. But I'm telling you, bro, all the cool points which is barely any, bro, that you get from holding the gun on Instagram, bro, this shit is not worth it, gang. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie, bro, you look corny holding guns on Instagram. I'm gonna keep it so real. No one to you probably from a suburban neighborhood, good family, raised right, but you just had to. Anything, bro, losing your life in the name of the hoes is crazy, gang. Come on, bro.
So his bright idea was to pose with a freaking loaded gun.
And don't tell me, he probably had an aim in his head, didn't he?
Because, you know, nothing says I'm cool like holding something that could end your life in a split second. While trying to take the perfect selfie with the firearm, De Leon
aimed at your throat! Type of Diddy ending? Aimed at your throat, gang?
Accidentally pulled the trigger and, well, the gun went off. The bullet went straight to his throat and
bro, you can't make this up.
Shattered the major veins and arteries in his neck. It was the ultimate photo bomb gone horribly wrong.
Oh my goodness,
De Leon was found in the bedroom of his apartment.
Oh my goodness, yo.
Dead. He literally died trying to take the perfect shot. The irony. There have been so many painful ways people have tragically lost their lives. And if you want to know how to avoid such dire situations, then join our Discord server today. Aurora Chappelle. So picture this. You're at the beach, the sun is shining, and you spot the perfect rock for that Instagram-worthy photo, so you head down to stand on it. Because what could possibly go wrong? Well, unfortunately for Aurora Chappelle, everything. In March 2017, Aurora was enjoying spring break with her friends at a beach in Oregon. Like most teens, she probably had her mind set on capturing that perfect moment for social media. She found a large log near the water's edge and decided it was the ideal spot for her photo op, nature's perfect prop. But, as we all know, Mother Nature has a way of reminding us who's really in charge. As Aurora perched on the log, ready for her close-up, the ocean decided to play a cruel trick. A sneaker wave, which is an extremely large and
is that a tsunami or a tornado? Which one? I know one of them start with T.
The log she was standing on shifted, trapping her legs underneath it. Her friends and bystanders rushed to help, desperately trying to free her. But just as they were making an effort, the ocean sent another wave crashing in. This time, the log rolled completely over Aurora's body, snapping and crushing every bone in her body. It was a moment of sheer horror. By the time the paramedics arrived and managed to free Aurora, it was already too late. The very feature of nature she sought to capture had claimed her life. For the sake of a photo, what was supposed to be a fun day at the beach quickly turned into a nightmare. Francois Alexi. When you were a kid, you probably believed that Santa Claus could slide down chimneys with ease.
Wait. He fell down a... Bro, you was not Santa. Gang, wait, hold on, run it. Bro, bro. Let me guess, bro. You and your girl broke up. It's probably getting around Christmas, you know. She been whatever begging, praying, hoping Santa Claus to come. So you thought you would just go ahead and play Santa Claus today. And they probably, honestly, thought it was a burglar coming through. So they probably turned on the lit the fireplace, whatever you call it, bro. And you probably just died from the smoke.
When you were a kid, you probably believed that Santa Claus could slide down chimneys with ease to drop off your gifts under the Christmas tree. But for one unfortunate soul, Francois Alexi, his chimney adventure turned out to be far from jolly, and there wasn't a single reindeer in sight. Now, most London apartments have chimneys, including the building where Francois and his friends were partying on a rooftop of a 70-story building in a London apartment. The unfortunate incident started when he decided to take a break and enjoy a cigarette. He perched himself on the chimney, but this wasn't the best seat in the house.
Cigarettes is
Somehow,
crazy.
Francois managed to fall right into the chimney.
Accident!
He didn't have a magic sack to soften the blow.
No.
He tumbled down the narrow 100-foot-long shaft, hitting his head several times on the way down.
Oh my
fracturing
goodness!
bones and eventually getting stuck near the bottom. It was like the world's worst roller coaster ride with brick walls for bumpers. When his friends realized he wasn't coming back from his smoke break, they started looking for him. That's when they discovered Francois wedged at the bottom of the chimney and immediately called for help. Firefighters arrived and spent a grueling 5 hours trying to free him, carefully dismantling the chimney brick by brick. It was like playing the world's most morbid game of Jenga. Man. Despite their efforts, the situation was dire. Francois didn't survive the fall. The multiple broken bones, the trauma from the tumble, and the time he spent trapped in the dark, narrow shaft were too much for him to endure. Alex Bestler. Let's say you and your friend decide to go on a hike in Ussuri Mountain Regional Park in Arizona. But as you're taking pictures and walking up the beautiful trail, you suddenly find yourself in the middle of angry bees. We're not talking about a few annoying buzzers here. This was the insect equivalent to release the Kraken. Except instead of one mythical beast, it was thousands of tiny, angry, stinging bees. Ironically, these bees are also known as killer bees. Well, this is exactly what happened to 23-year-old Alex Bestler and his friend on May 26, 2016. While Alex's friend managed to run to safety, Alex got caught in what can only be described as nature's version of a drive-by. These angry, stinging bees went to for Alex.
Why that bee got a dit on it? What is that?
Stinging him over 1,000.
He got stung 1,000 times by 1,000 dins? Yo, that's crazy, bro. Yo.
Time.
What's up with these Diddy deaths, gang?
1,000. Just imagine how painful just one single bee sting is.
Oh my goodness!
A literal army of these guys just over and over and over again. When rescue workers finally arrived, they found Alex literally covered in bees. The situation was so intense that they had to vacuum the bees off him just to get close enough to help. But despite their efforts and the quick response, the sheer number of stings was too much. Tragically, Alex didn't survive the attack. Brooke Bowers. Just imagine clocking in at your job as a bartender and thinking the most dangerous thing you'll encounter is an overly rowdy customer or at worst a hangover that could knock out a herd of elephants. But for Brooke Bowers, fate had a plot twist in store that no amount of aspirin could cure. It all happened in December 2021 when the 21-year-old Brooke was working at a bar called Coasters in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. Now, this place had a neat little feature called a dumbwaiter, which is basically like an elevator's tiny cousin, perfect for ferrying food, drinks, and other supplies between floors. Well, on this fateful night, this device became anything but dumb. For reasons that remain unclear, Brooke climbed into the dumbwaiter, but unfortunately,
are you serious, my nigga? Like, bro, Brooke, are you dead ass serious right now?
Fortunately, the thing moved, and she was literally trapped inside with no way to crawl out. It was like being trapped inside a tiny box made out of metal and concrete. Unfortunately, fate, being the cruel jokester it is, decided to make sure nobody noticed for hours. Well, there was literally no oxygen coming into the tiny middle box, and poor Brooke spent her last hours gasping for air.
Oh my goodness,
Brooke tragically died from suffocation, which is quite literally a very slow and painful way to go.